Yeah, why the fact that they've got they call it the Standard and Poor's Index.
Standard and Poor's Index?
Discord.
Yeah, I know.
Standard
but
and Poor's 500, or simply the S&P 500, is a stock market index tracking the stock market of the largest 500 companies. The fact that they always call it S&P 500, they don't talk about the fact. They never talk about Standards and Poor's. But yeah, so what else is going on?
Well, it's just looking to the news. Just started.
They say that they're bragging that Reform's doing numbers. They won't. They've got this guy that's basically going in Norfolk. He's going to be putting himself up for a by-election, right? With what they've just done right now, what Reform have just done, right? What Nigel and Tice and Zia have done, they might effectively have made that guy lose his seat. Because all it takes is for literally a couple thousand people to get pissed off in Norfolk to say, fuck all that. That's how the margins we're running with here. It might just be enough to get Labour into the seat, or it might just be enough to get the Tories back in. So weren't they at one point trailing at 2% second position?
Yeah. Now, I've seen a recent poll just been updated that from the previous collection of data, the number of seats that the Tories are likely to get in the next election has gone up a bit, despite after many months of it going down.
Why do you think that is? Because they realise that Reform's no different from the Tories. They realise that literally Nigel's that much of a money hungry like the Tories. And they realise that, quite honestly, he's not really that leading. Nigel's not really leading the party. It's Zia that's pulling shit behind the scenes.
But again, he did announce that he gave all of his control of Reform to the supporters or the people.
But he didn't know. He's still got control. He's still got power. It's illusion. He still controls power. It's still everything what he said. It's still his party. Nobody else has power. Look what they did, right? Rupert Lowe asked for like freaking democratization. Ben Habib asked for that. He got sacked. And more people as well. And then you've got freaking Rupert Lowe asking for democratization, saying like, look, if we don't democratize the party, I'm not going to be here the next election. With Reform in the next election. Not to mention, he feels threatened by Rupert because he's actually got the support. I think the vast majority of people, at least on Twitter, on X, they back him, but who knows? Maybe the vast majority actually really do back Nigel, but who knows? It doesn't really make a difference anyway because it's all a circus.
It's all an illusion.
It's
part of
fun
the act.
Entertainment. Preparing for a peaceful trip to Westminster, my already short list of friends in Parliament has just got dramatically shorter. The vehicle required to transport my parliamentary party has dropped from a black cab to a moped. At least the doorman likes me. It has been reported today, the Telegraph, that sources in the Reform leadership close to Nigel Farage are upset with me because I have been outspoken of the need for large numbers of deportation. This is not new information to me. Just so everyone is crystal clear, I stand by every single word I have said on the subject. If you are here illegally, you should be deported. That has to be the objective. If that results in 1 million plus deportation being the eventual aim, then so be it. It may be uncomfortable to some, but there is no other way. May not agree with that, but it's the right thing to do, and it's perfectly reasonable policy discussion to raise. I do not want unvetted, unchecked, unknown young men roaming our streets, harassing women, and loitering around schools. I want them deported, and do the vast majority of the British people. If that upsets people, so what? Honestly, who cares? We need to stop worrying about what the woke left think of us. They will never approve. We must stop watering down sincerely held opinions to appease the unappeasable. Trust me, the boats will stop overnight if we can successfully send the following message. If you come here illegally, you will be deported. If you are here illegally, you will be deported. Of course, proper policy needs to be flushed out around that. offshore processing, transfer agreements, foreign aid withdrawals, visa suspensions, ECHR withdrawal, legislation repeal, scrapping the asylum system, and so on. I've attempted to explore some of his details myself publicly and encouraged reform to invest in serious policy machines to present credible plans. That did not happen. But all else aside, the principles must be abundantly clear. Detain, deport, no excuses. I have been warned by those at the top of reform that my position on deportation, as you likely know from reading my extensive output on the subject, I did not listen to a word said. We need deportations, and lots of them. I make no apologies for stating that. And this is what came from Rupert Dole, his actual Twitter. He's the MP that we all want. He's saying what we all want. Deportations. We all agree. And we back you. So what else is going on?
Man holding Palestinian flag comes down from Big Ben Tower.
And there's people in the comments saying, whoa, can someone explain why Nigel, the king of Stop the Boats, wouldn't want illegal immigrants deported? He's based his entire career in the party on this very thing. Has changed. And why has his opinion on this changed? As his opinion on other topics of late? What's going on? He's sold out. Yep.
Rohingya refugee food aid to be halved from next month.
From who?
Food rations for about 1 million Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh will be cut in half starting next month due to severe funding shortfalls, according to United Nations World Food Programme.
Good. Who cares? Not our responsibility. Mexican man who has been living illegally in the US for 20 years is crying because he's moving back to his country. His American wife says we elected Hitler and that she doesn't feel safe for her and husband. He came here illegally. He's an illegal. He should be deported. You come, you break the law, you have to go home. No excuses. I wonder how do you...
Labour wins third successive landslide in Western Australian election.
Fuck. Is the Labour government at least conservative? Or are they a bunch of liberal batshit crazies?
They're more on the left.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
Why
Labour
did they
Party...
vote these fuckers in?
Well, the same reason why Keir Starmer won the last general election.
And they think a leftist socialists are going to help them.
They want to change, is that what they get?
Well, they're not going to get change. We vote fucking Canada. If they vote Tory, it doesn't make a difference if they vote Tory in Canada. They're still going to get a liberal government. We have liberated Europe from fascism, but they will never forgive us for it. Mm-hmm.
Landslide in southwest Colombia kills 1 and leaves 3 missing. heavy rains unleashed.
God, why does this guy look like a fucking plonker?
Who looks like a plonker?
Like this guy. Like, is this a real fucking human being?
It's not AI, is it?
The picture, his haircut looks fucking tragic. Take a look.
What? What?
It's not a real haircut.
There's no way he voluntarily
Is
wants to
that
have a
hair
hairstyle
real?
like that. It looks. Well, it can't
Hair
be
real or a
AI.
wig?
What I want to know is why.
I see a bunch of freaking people with that have like freaking coloured hair. Now, reform ain't the answer. Will they still get seats, or have they killed themselves?
They're still going to get seats. Actually, a lot more seats than they currently have right now.
But they don't have any interest in stopping the boats. They don't have any interest
But
in
it's not
supporting
stopping
people.
the support they're getting.
Nigel
They are
Farage
still.
tries to reform as his party. It's not Nigel's party. It's not my party. It's certainly not Yusuf's party. It belongs to the members. They built it as much as Nigel or any of us. Their £25 on this vindictive plot to kick me out is betrayal. True of this supposed reconciliation meeting? No. But it would not be the first reform meeting I've not been invited to. I truly hope it all works out, I think. For many in saying you are a voice, people. He really was. Either way, I think I'll be whatever. But if he creates a new party, I'll back Rupert Lowe's new party. He's definitely more patriot than any of them. Do you want to know the real facts? I think we probably kicked out a bunch of good conservatives, right? Conservative MPs, right? The last election. Am I wrong to think that?
But there's nothing stopping.
There's nothing stopping what was to happen.
Japan partially lifts wildfire evacuation orders.
So where do we head from here?
In terms of what?
Election wise, it sees if reform crashes, is Labour guaranteed to win now?
Well, whatever happens with reform, I'm not sure I can say that they will just go back to the Tories. But if it means stopping Labour from winning, I think it's either go back to the Tories or let Labour get another landslide.
Do you want Labour to have another landslide? I don't think the country can take it. But I also don't think Kemi Badenoch's going to be any better. Is this what if this is what we're stuck to, I'd rather just fucking join America. If we're stuck between mediocrity. Mm. Mm.
Clocks across Canada to spring forward as country recognizes daylight time.
The government disrespects them. This is this retarded old geezer's take. You won't be fighting for this government. You'd be fighting for your country and your family, who wouldn't want to be killed and forced into a Russian brothel. Russians do not want to fucking murder us. Russians do not want to go to war with us. They have stated multiple times, we have got enough land, we've got enough resources, we do not want war. But if you fucking push us, and we end up sacrificing men to this, being forced to fight, they will take territory.
Meta maintains a secret, quote-unquote, do not rehire list for ex-employees.
I don't fucking blame them. Probably a list of controversial idiots that they don't want to hire.
Meta reportedly maintains a secret list of former employees deemed ineligible for rehire, regardless of their performance during employment.
You know what's going on in Iraq, in Syria?
Yeah, I've
The
actually seen.
Al-Assad government, as much as they hate him, Al-Assad government was keeping those minorities from getting murdered by these fucking thugs. The fact is, our governments are supporting these fucking terrorists. This will just embolden these terrorists to attack us in UK.
Speaking of which, I saw something on Instagram. Hundreds of Christians, including children, reportedly killed by Ahmad al-Shara's HTS militants in Syria. So sad.
Well, it looks like they're grilling Richard Tice.
Oh, it's about how reform has making the right call for whatever with Rupert Lowe.
No, he's making the wrong call. Yeah, he's saying they made the right call, but
But it's the wrong
and
call.
these people are just saying he sounds just like the Labour Party. He's just another not authentic. How many times do we hear being working incredibly hard? Seriously, it's like they go to a sentence to explain bullshit. Don't worry. It's partly there are people in GB News that actually support Rupert Lowe and on his side, and there's people that are on Reform's side, but it's majority. I think more people on Rupert's than them. God, the fuck. What the fuck is this abomination?
What abomination?
Why? Can I tell you something? You know what's happening in Syria right now? I can guarantee you Israel's going to take that land. That's the plan.
I do have a feeling that's something like that could happen.
It's bound to happen. They've been talking about Greater Israel for fucking decades. They want Israel to grow and become a massive power. Can I tell you a secret? If Israel got their fucking way, I can guarantee you they'd take all of Saudi Arabia, up to the UAE, if they got their way. I think they also want Iraq. I think they want all of Iraq as well. What do you think will happen with Ukraine once this is all done?
Well,
Do you think they're going to form the Khazarian Empire,
what is the Khazarian Empire?
the one state? The Jewish,
Hmm.
the Khazarian Empire was the state of the Khazarians, who were Jewish, all converted to Jews. And I think they have plans to build a second Jewish state, in which Khazarian Empire is basically modern Ukraine.
Port Angeles mayor visits British Columbia's capital region amid trade war.
We will
One of
wage jihad against you, even if it takes 20 years. Syria today, Germany tomorrow, then France, Portugal, the UK, and so on. We need to kill all these people. Kill all these people. We need to kill all these people before they kill us.
One of Vancouver's island's closest cross-border mayors has travelled to Victoria to meet with local politicians as government and business leaders try to wade through the effects of the United States administration's tariffs against Canada. UK says Australia considering joining group to protect Ukraine peace.
What?
Australia is considering joining Starmer's coalition of the willing, UK says. Joining peace.
What?
Joining Australia is considering joining a group of countries that are prepared to protect an eventual ceasefire of the Russia-Ukraine war, the UK said on Saturday. Britain and France have been leading efforts to form the quote-unquote coalition of the willing, as the United States' long-term commitment to Europe's security is now in doubt under Donald Trump. So in other words, if the US is out, us as European nations, we're the ones to protect Ukraine and fight for its peace.
God, they're sick.
Bipartisan reps urge governors to ban DeepSeek on government devices.
Good idea. I'd ban TikTok off of government devices.
The US government is considering restrictions on DeepSeek's chatbot app and AI models, citing data privacy and national security risks.
I agree.
Mike Myers channels Dr. Evil for return as Elon Musk in Saturday Night Live Cold Open.
Why? We have no intention to deport. They're all saying, oh, we should still support reform. Why? They have no intention on deporting anybody. Why should we waste our vote? Voting reform, Labour or Tories, going to do the same thing. They say, oh, we cannot vote UKIP. We cannot vote for a new party. We cannot build a new party. By doing that, we'd never get anywhere. They said that the last election. If it wasn't for me and others taking our vote and voting reform, we might have never built a new party. At least got the ball rolling. So what else is that?
Saturday Night Live returned to the Oval Office in the Cold Open this weekend, where the cast portrayed a meeting between President Donald Trump, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Elon Musk, during which their inner thoughts were shared, quote-unquote, curb your enthusiasm style. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
God.
What?
Even on Facebook, right? Fuck. I've only seen the shit on on X. But this is Facebook. Imagine what they're getting on Instagram and all the other platforms.
Is this about reform?
Yeah, but they're commenting about Rupert Lowe on Facebook. About what reform have done to them.
That's wild.
They've already lost a big portion of their audience from calling them thugs, like those people. And now they're going after the guy from. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So what else is there?
Vance says pro-Ukraine protesters confronted him while he was with his daughter. Vice President J.D. Vance responded on Saturday to protesters advocating for Ukraine, who said he had approached him and his 3-year-old daughter while they were out for a walk. Vance shared the account on his personal X platform on Saturday afternoon, describing the encounter.
US tariffs Canada ally. Canadian boos US anthem campaign to buy Canadian Orange Man bad. American boycotts. Cancelling trips to the US. China tariffs Canada enemy. Silence. Canada's full of low IQ sheep. Not all, but there are some. Muslims are attacking and destroying our churches again in France. So they both look like fucking brothers.
Who look like brothers?
Check the chat.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, right.
Oh
They both
my.
look the same. One's got a fucking beard. Both have got beards. They both look at the same smile. They both look like they're CIA punks.
That's crazy. European leaders meet to boost defense as US pauses Ukraine aid.
I think we might actually have to fucking eradicate Iran. I think there might be a sect of Islam we have to fucking eradicate. It's Jamie. It's not just us that face fucking ethnic extinction. It's them.
So we're all facing struggles at some point.
Even the Shia Muslims feel like they might face threats from these fuckers. German man who converted to Sunni Islam in Syria says that 150 million Shia Muslims must either convert or be exterminated. They even hate their fellow Muslim for belonging to a different sect. Let's see. Look up what Sunni and Shia and what's the difference. What places what dominations they're from.
Okay.
Turkey, Syria, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. We can get along with Turkey. We can get along with Egypt. We can get along with Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure we can get along with Syria. Iraq and Iran are the two we probably need.
Alright. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. The differences between Sunni and Shia Muslims. Number 1. Succession after Prophet Muhammad. Sunni Muslims believe that the community should select the leader, caliphate, through consensus. They accept Abu Bakr, the Prophet's close companion, as the first rightful caliph.
One of them's more religious than the other. One's in
Alright,
fact a religious sect, and the other one's more moderate.
I just mentioned the Sunni Muslims. Alright, next, the Shia Muslims believe that leadership should have remained within the Prophet's family, specifically with Ali, his cousin and son-in-law, whom they regard as the first Imam and rightful successor.
And the only states of that are Iran and Iraq and Lebanon. The rest of them are all. Would you say that we could get along with Egypt?
Why wouldn't we? Alright, number 2. Religious authority. Sunni Muslims emphasize the consensus of the community, Lijama, I'm not sure I said it right, and the scholarly interpretation, Ijtihad, again, might have butchered that, of the Quran and Hadith sayings of the Prophet. They do not have a centralized clerical hierarchy. The Shia Muslims place greater emphasis on the authority of imams, who are considered infallible and divinely guided interpreters of Islam. The Twelvers Shia, the largest Shia sect, believe in a line of 12 imams, with the last one being in occultation, hidden from the world.
Why hasn't the US bombed Iran to live in hell?
Number 3. Theological differences. Sunni Muslims focus on the Quran, Hadith, and the practices of the early Muslim community, Sunnah. They generally adhere to one of the four major schools of jurisprudence: Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali. Shia Muslims incorporate the teachings of the Imams into their theology and in jurisprudence. They often follow the Jafari school of thought, named after the sixth Imam, Jafar al-Sadiq.
Which one's the more extreme out of the two?
I'm still going through and I'll try
Okay.
and get my opinion on it. Number 4. Practices and rituals. Prayer. Well, both groups pray 5 times a day. Shia Muslims often combine some prayers, resulting in 3 prayer sessions. The morning of Muharram. Shia Muslims observe Ashura, the 10th day of Muharram, with morning rituals to commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad. Sunnis also observe Ashura, but typically as a day of fasting and reflection. Pilgrimage. Both groups perform the Hajj to Mecca, but Shia Muslims also emphasize visiting the shrines of imams and other holy figures. Number 5. Cultural and geographic distributions. Sunni Muslims make up about 85 to 90% of the global Muslim population and are the majority in countries like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, and Indonesia. Shia Muslims constitute about 10 to 15% of Muslims and are the majority in Iran, Iraq, Bahrain, and Azerbaijan. Significant Shia communities also exist in Lebanon, Yemen, and parts of South Asia. And finally, number 6. Political and historical context. The split between Sunni and Shia Muslims originated in the 7th century over the question of leadership after Prophet Muhammad's death. This division has influenced Islamic history, politics, and culture, often leading to conflicts and tensions between the two groups. Despite these differences, both Sunni and Shia Muslims share core Islamic beliefs such as the oneness of God, the prophethood of Muhammad, and the importance of the Quran. The majority of their religious practices and beliefs are similar.
Which do they both type in? Do they both want world conquest, or is only one that wants world conquest over the other?
Well, I can ask it,
That would get the
but
answer.
okay.
Which one's more likely to invade? Does Saudi Arabia have any enemies? Do Saudi Arabia, do the Middle Eastern countries pose us any harm? Do they want to kill us? Compared to Iran and Iraq, who I'm pretty sure in Iran, America's our number one enemy.
The thing is, though, even though there are denominations that do have perspectives and different levels of actions that they want to commit to people that on their own, what's important to know is, do they have extremist values or prejudice against those that are on their own?
Yes, which countries have host extremist Muslims?
Okay. Let's see what I can do. Alright, this is a very short one. Both Sunni and Shia. Actually, what I asked is, does one of these denominations have extreme views of any kind? And DeepSeek just gave it a very short description. It says both Sunni and Shia Islam, like other major religious traditions, encompass a wide range of interpretations and practices, from moderate to conservative to extreme.
Do any of these countries want to create jihad?
Extremism is not inherent to either denomination, but can manifest in certain groups or individuals within both.
That's not pleasant, but okay. Which
Either way, it
country is more like which outset of out of the sect is more likely to do jihad? Or basically establish a Muslim caliphate. I don't know if it's the Saudis. I don't think the Saudis really want that, but I don't. Who knows? I think it's really. I think we should be worried about Iran, and Iraq. I think we need to cripple them, and I think we need to cripple Syria.
The European Union leaders have reassessed their defense strategies amidst uncertainty over US commitment to Ukraine, sparked by President Donald Trump's skepticism about America's security role in Europe.
I think they've got more intense problems. They've got freaking people that might want to commit jihad and murder innocent people. None of them talk about it.
Ontario to impose 25% tariffs on electricity exports
Did you
to
hear the
three.
fact that they almost tried to some Hamas people tried to bring gun components to create automatic weapons into the UK, but they were caught.
Wow, that's the first I'm hearing this.
It was on to X.
That's okay.
They were caught.
Well,
We should be concerned because if they're trying to smuggle in weapons or prepping for a civil war or a coup. Doesn't surprise me, but yes.
Ontario to impose 25% tariffs on electricity exports to 3 US states. In Canada, Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced a 25% tariff on electricity exports to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota starting Monday. This comes in response to President Trump's proposed 25% tariffs on most Canadian goods. They were previously expected to be implemented Tuesday, but were then pushed back to April 2nd. Thousands gathered across the UK to honour the 5th anniversary of the COVID-19 pandemic. The event was part of a nationwide day of reflection recommended by the UK Commission on COVID Commemoration. Prime Minister Keir Starmer led the tributes, acknowledging the country's grief and sacrifices.
This guy is Ricky Gervais fucking retarded. There are no
What
elites, no
did he
disrespect.
do?
There are no superiors. We are all equal in certain groups. May have money and power. That does not make them equal elites. Money doesn't make them elite. They are corrupt. When
Well, it's
you
not wrong.
live in countries that have kings and queens and backdoor dealings like this, there are always going to be elites.
Yes, there always will be.
Oh my god.
What?
To Goldman Sachs and reform management.
Did you know that the current Sri Lankan government is under the Communist Party? I think I talked about this with Eric a couple of months ago.
What did you say?
Said that in the last election in Sri Lanka, the party that won is the Communist Party of Sri Lanka.
What is?
I'm not sure what the exact name is, but the political affiliation with the party that won in the last Sri Lankan general election is more aligned with communism. Like an actual communist party is the government of Sri Lanka.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised that most of Asia was effectively communist up till about 1990. And Jamie, as much as they want to say it, right? Can I tell you a secret?
Go on.
Japan's oldest party is a communist party. Japan.
Wow.
Japan.
Really?
The most American-friendly country in Asia is the Communist Party. They don't have a lot of seats, but they still have enough to stay
Yeah, of course.
stay
Yeah, of
around.
course I don't have enough seats. And of course I don't have much seats because Japan is a mostly conservative nation. So it
Yet
makes
they've
sense.
got a Communist Party. I'm surprised
Yeah.
the Conservatives allowed that. Or the Socialists.
Well, just because Japan has mostly conservative views does not mean there aren't people in Japan
Not
that have
necessarily
left-wing
conservative
views.
views. They have conservative views, but conservative views to us, right? They're left wing compared to us in America. A conservative in America,
Yes. It's all
conservative in
about
America and a
perspective.
conservative in the UK would be classed as a fucking Lib Dem. Or a wet Tory.
It just comes to show.
Yes. What laws do you think Trump will pass under his administration?
Good question.
Do you think Alberta will join America?
Alberta joined Canada? I thought Alberta is part of Canada.
Should Alberta join America?
I mean, if they want to, I don't see why not.
There's people campaigning for it. They'd
Yeah,
hear a lot more from it than what they would Canada, especially.
also, there are a few counties along the west of Oregon signing petitions and getting signatures to join Idaho to form what is known as Greater Idaho.
There's also people in California that would like to break in Sacramento that would like to break away from LA, from California, form their own state. Mainly Montgomery and all those other places, the conservative areas of California.
Yeah.
San Diego would be part of that one as well. And effectively the Bay Area as well, maybe. Effectively, Los Angeles and a bunch of local cities, e.g., UC Berkeley, LA, Malibu, all the freaking liberal hotspots. Let them have their own little state. Do what the fuck they want with it. What else is there?
The lower the semen quality, the lower the life expectancy.
Lower the what?
The lower the semen quality, the lower the life expectancy. Men with the highest counts of swimming sperm can expect to live 2 to 3 years longer than those with poor semen quality, research shows.
Good to know.
Yes, that is very interesting. Never thought I'd hear something like that, but here we are.
Never would I. So what else is there?
Facing competition from big tech, states dangle incentives and loosen laws to attract power plants. US states are seeking to build new power plants faster due to rising energy demand from artificial intelligence, according to reports from various energy regulators and lawmakers. The National Governors Association has criticized the US for slow energy project approvals and is advocating for reforms to expedite power plants construction. In Pennsylvania, Governor Josh Shapiro proposed tax breaks and a new agency to accelerate power plant projects, citing the need for reliable energy.
Joe Shapiro, he's a Democrat, right?
Yes, he is a Democrat.
What do you think?
Well, not that I agree with whatever he says or whatever he uses, but I don't understand that for the previous presidential election, why wasn't he the candidate? At least he could challenge Trump, and instead of
Well, he
Kamala,
wasn't a woman. He
that's
wasn't
one reason.
gay, he wasn't lame, and he didn't have tits.
Okay, that's
Well,
fair
not
enough.
that. That's the truth, though. They were that hyped up on their own fucking farts that they wanted to fucking. Oh, we're finally going to elect a woman president. The slogans were women getting it done and all that. And then they realised the glass ceiling is a glass freaking ceiling. Men do not want to elect a emotional woman.
I'm not bothered about women being in power so long as they have the ideas just as good as a man can to
And they're
be in power.
competent. I still don't think you're going to see a woman president for a long, long time.
Even though there are a few women leaders in Europe right now, at least
Yeah,
one
they're
is.
fucking pathetic. They haven't got the fucking stones. None of them can match up to what the Margaret Thatcher. A bunch of wasters. Thatcher and Reagan push all those fuckers to shame. Apart from maybe Trump.
Yep.
So what else?
Intuitive machines face another setback as Moonlander tips over. Intuitive machines' Athena lander has reached the moon, but landed on its side, repeating a similar issue from its first mission, potentially limiting power generation and science operations. The six-legged lander's design has raised questions about stability.
We've also got to question the fact that literally maybe that we never actually landed on the moon, and they faked it
Yeah, Eric
because they were that
does
desperate
think
to
the same
fucking beat the
thing.
Russians. Nobody ever talks about it, but they were that desperate to beat the Russians.
Very, very true. Even though the Soviet Union were miles ahead of the United States many years before them.
Yes. But yes.
Saudi royal family partners with UFC's Dana White to create new boxing league.
We want to make money, and that's the thing I like soon. That's why I like the Saudis. They want to fucking make money. They're all about business and making money. Same with Iran.
Indeed
Same
they
with
are.
Saudis and the people in Dubai. They all want to fucking make money. We can do business with them. They want to make money. They're not like fucking Iran. That's fucking just wants to kill and murder. The thing is, with Saudis, though, they're not really Saudi. The thing with Saudis are they're not exactly Muslims, are they? Realistically, they're Jews. Saudi families were taken over years ago. But yeah. What else is there?
Diddy faces superseding indictment with forced labor charge. Labor charge.
Hmm.
The new allegations include physical assault of women and mistreatment of employees, forcing them to work long hours with little sleep. Combs will remain in jail until his trial, scheduled for May 5th, with additional details on the indictment expected on March 10th.
Interesting. Who knows? Who knows?
Who
What else is
knows?
there? Is that us or something?
Lawsuit accuses Atlanta police of illegally targeting, quote, Stop Cop City protesters.
God.
A federal lawsuit claims that Atlanta police have unlawfully targeted critics of a police training center, including Jamie Marcicano, who faces serious charges. Marcicano's lawyers state that their client was wrongfully arrested during a music festival and was not involved in any violence against the construction site.
Well, they weren't. Hmm. Who knows?
Who knows?
You know. Hmm. Yeah, no.
Andrew Tate, social media influencer who faces trafficking charges, sits cage side for UFC 313.
He likes boxing. I think if he could get his way, he'd probably do. If he'd probably do enter a couple boxing matches if he really could. Probably wouldn't actually now. If he didn't do the thing, if he didn't have to go through the fucking trials and lawsuits and that, he might have actually went back into boxing for a couple one-off fights.
True.
Who
But
knows?
of course, it is Canyon. The rest is history.
Yes. Was what it was, and it is what it is.
Exactly. Maasai girls take up self-defense as protection from sexual abuse and early marriage.
Who?
Maasai girls at a boarding school in Transmara, Kenya, are learning self-defense to protect against sexual abuse and early marriage.
Better defend themselves and stand up for themselves. Maybe they'll be able to get rid of those fucking thugs. Or rein those thugs from their own countries in. You know,
Who knows?
was what it was, and it is.
So true.
Yeah.
Nigeria seeks to cash in on soaring cocoa prices. The government has set a production target of 500,000 tons for the 24-25 cocoa season to rank fourth globally behind Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Indonesia.
Who has?
Nigeria are cashing in on soaring cocoa prices. Cocoa prices remain high at over $8,000 per ton despite a fall from December's record of $12,000, influencing interest in Nigeria's cocoa industry.
I don't like giving those people money. I wish we own them. I don't like them owning their own industry. I don't want them profiting. I think we should take back Africa. Do you think Africa will ever unite into one nation?
To be honest, I'd say more of a one government rather than one nation, because, well, there's always going to be differences in identity.
I suppose.
Antarctic ozone hole is healing thanks to global reduction of CFCs.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the greatest acts in history, I'd
What?
say. A new study confirms that the Antarctic ozone layer is healing due to global efforts to reduce ozone-depleting substances, as stated by the MIT team. This study provides high statistical
Who gives a fuck?
confidence.
It's a fucking thing of art. It's ice.
Yes, it's a lot of ice.
So if we want to, let's just burn. Let's just fucking raise every. What are they scared of? Why can't we just build? What are they scared of us? Why can't we just melt all that ice and rebuild? Build build flood barriers to stop the water from flooding in.
Although you may think it's easy as just melting the ice and building a dam around it, there's a lot of engineering complications and, well, no, I'm
We
not
could just
defending climate change in any way.
couldn't we just dam up some of the water?
It depends on the scale of damming the water. If we're talking all of the ice in Antarctica, it's going to be a challenge.
Not all of Antarctica, but at least the important parts.
What kind of important parts are we thinking of damming?
Basically the parts from America to North America, and effectively basically damming up from Scotland to North America, basically damming from Scotland to Norway, and then Quebec to like Greenland and Canada. They become land, and we. Who knows?
Who knows? Someone knows, but yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get there when we get there.
yeah. What else is there?
I think that's us.
Yeah. So.